In 3, 2, and 1. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us on the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you here, along with Tariq Spence in the middle. Hi, Tariq.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Life in the bubble. And Pat Duffy is back. Pat, wearing a classic Pittsburgh Blue Jay uniform.
Yeah, I was going to say the nomadic Blue Jays. And for my money, this is a top 3 Major League Baseball uniform of all time. Like
it shouldn't work, but it works. It's a beautiful jersey. Beautiful jersey.
Yeah. Well, then it is. Hey, Tariq, let's start here. The bubble is working. The NBA has had no positive tests since they got their players together in Orlando, and the NHL is doing almost as well. It's almost a shame that we can't all live in a bubble, don't you think?
Well, yeah. Currently, we are. We still don't have a vaccine yet, but it is working. Obviously, a lot of the skepticism, as to how this thing is going to play out. As long as they keep the positive reactions down, and then the players get a chance to play and finish out the rest of their season, you can figure out everything else going forward. But it's how much testing. It's usually they start their NBA players getting like 1 or 2 tests, or they get the nasal, and then they get another test, and then hopefully things get a little bit better as the weeks go on and the numbers go down, and you isolate people who are positive before they get there. So they're doing what needs to work in order to play these scrimmages now games.
Pat, I'm sure it's come up on your radio show. What do you think about the snitch line? The phone number you can turn, players in for violating protocol?
So our listeners are very anti-snitch line, which I totally understand. But if you look at it from the perspective of the players inside the bubble, look, man, they're not going to get paid if these games don't come off. And if the overwhelming majority of these players want to follow the rules and not walk 8 feet outside the bubble to pick up delivery food and then have to quarantine another 10 days like that guy from Sacramento did, I get it, man. You've got hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars per player on the line. I'm not a snitch, but if I'm going to lose that money, I might be a snitch all of a sudden.
Yeah, but the snitch line works. It works if you find out, oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, I didn't think that you could get food at this particular time. Oh, I didn't think about what if somebody takes. That's what it's there for. It's to try to catch those little pieces that seem to slip through so that you can prevent anybody from getting COVID-19. So the snitch line works. I know a lot of people don't like somebody snitching on someone else. But to Duffy's point, if this doesn't work, we all don't work. So, I mean, this is in the best interest to keep everybody honest.
I enjoyed the cartoon about LeBron James blowing in Kawhi Leonard, saying, I saw Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard was out there. Get him out of the bubble.
Listen. I don't think. I think you need as many superstars in that bubble as possible, and for LeBron James to even think about. I know he's joking. I know he probably wouldn't do that, but I think you want as many superstars in there as possible. With the number of superstars that said that they're not going to be there, you want the best chance to try to legitimize the championship. Should you win this, you don't want to be in a situation where you won it, but 5 out of the top 10 players had COVID or didn't play. That's going to come down the line. Right now, it's just trying to win a championship.
Yeah, Pat, it strikes me the one downside to having no positive tests in the NBA bubble is if this thing catches fire inside there, someone's going to be looking for how did this happen, who got out, who did what, and there's going to be a price to pay there.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. If everything's moving smoothly and the NBA has been able to do this whole thing, but it's not just the NBA players. I mean, people forget the amount of people outside of just the players that are in this bubble. You've got the coaching staff, you've got the training staff, you've got media, you've got the folks that work on site at Disney that have to go in after every practice and clean everything up, and then folks that work as room service. I mean, those people aren't living there, right? There's still the potential for this to not work. And as promising as all this is, and as much as I want to watch basketball all day, every day, I'm still holding out a little bit of, it's a little too good to be true.
Here we are, the Rochester Press Box, Bill, Tariq, and Pat, and we're talking Buffalo Bills next.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay & Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
Thanks for joining us, and welcome back to the Rochester Press Box, talking Buffalo Bills. Pat Duffy. Last week we got into a little bit of discussion about this whole thing about Josh Allen having the better arm than Pat Mahomes, according to the Madden video game. Mahomes took exception to that this past week and is suggesting a throw-off with Josh. What do you think?
Oh, I'm all in on the throw-off. I'd buy tickets to the throw-off. And look, I get that Pat Mahomes is a competitor, and he's going to think he's better. Look, anybody that watches this game understands Josh Allen has a legitimate cannon. In fact, there's a video of a John Brown touchdown from last season where the ball travels in the air like 80 yards. There is no way that Patrick Mahomes is able to outthrow Josh Allen, and I want to watch Patrick Mahomes have to eat his own words after that.
Well, it would be fun. Like, for, obviously you want the NFL season to start and everybody else to play. But if they did sort of like an NFL All-Stars matchup where basically they would find out who has the best arm, who is the most accurate, and then their Madden rating would be on top of that. That would be fun to watch. I don't know about you. If we can't have football, let's just have that and actually see who has the better arm. But what's weird about it is Mahomes is a 99 guy on Madden. He's 99. He's got $500 million, and he still wants to have the best arm in the NFL. That's how competitive it is. I love it.
You're bringing up during the break, Tariq, about, this has worked before. There were shows like the Superstars and other competitions that people invested in and watched.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good to see who was the fastest or who could throw the farthest of all these sort of competitions that would have. They don't do them anymore for probably, injury reasons or liability reasons or whatever it may be, or compensation for athletes, too. I mean, these athletes are going out there risking their careers to show how fast they are or whatever it may be. But it's just it would be fun to see something. And I'm concerned about, with all of the worry about COVID-19 and camps opening up, we're not going to get what we want, which is the start of the NFL season, which is the ultimate contact sport. So whatever the NBA and the NHL is doing, the NFL is going to have to probably do the same thing if they want to start the season on time.
Pat, what's the Bills season look like or feel like if they open the year without a crowd in that park, in that stadium?
I'm fully expecting it. You saw what happened earlier this week with the governor of New York saying there won't be any crowds for college sports. Okay, so you assume Buffalo's just down the road. I don't know. I mean, look, if they're good, I don't care. If they can play and they're winning games, fine, whatever. And here's the thing. I'm so superstitious. If they do really well this season without a crowd, shut it down. Bolt the doors shut. Just let them win. Give us something to be excited about. It's going to suck not being there, but above everything else, the W's matter, Bill.
Yeah, the thing is, Tariq, the home field advantage for Buffalo is as much weather-related as it was crowd. There are better crowds in the NFL, that are tougher to play in, but Buffalo still has that going for them.
Yeah, the environment for, say, for example, an NBA game or an NHL game, obviously the fans are big, but it's different for football because every single reaction, the stadium is huge, the fans are huge, you want that home crowd advantage. This is going to change the moments of games. I mean, I say still play, but it's going to be different. Baseball's going to be different. Football's going to be different. Everything's going to be different.
Can I say real quick? I was watching one of the Rockies. I think it was the Rockies Rangers the other day where they were doing the broadcast and they were piping in crowd noise to the game. They were doing it over the broadcast. They way overestimated how much noise fans make with a 2-1 pitch in the middle of the second inning where they're throwing to the seven hole. Like, what are you, nuts? Like, it's going to be funny to see how they ride that fader on the crowd noise if they run the crowd noise to make it sound more authentic than it did in this baseball game the other night.
What if they say something they shouldn't be saying? I guess, Duffy, would you do it? Would you pipe your voice into the crowd noise?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think it would be great if it was just my voice saying things. People would learn things about the game.
The answer to pretty much any question you ask Duffy is yes. We are the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not, it's next. Here's the Press Box trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Here's the Press Box trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Rochester Press Box. Tariq, like it or not, the baseball players in San Francisco, especially where the manager took part, the baseball players taking a knee this week.
I love it. I love the fact that they're stepping up. They're keeping their voices known about social injustice. What I found to realize is I started actually looking across Major League Baseball. The Dodgers, a lot of teams are making loud statements about social injustice. And I really am starting to realize now that there is an audience that may have either ignored it or didn't realize how severe some of these issues are. And I'm not going to get mad about them not knowing. I guess you turn off whatever you want to turn off, or you're into whatever you're into. But I think the fact that they actually took a knee and that some players contributed it, some players did not take a knee, they had every right to stand if they wanted to, just goes to show you that this impact is big and that they're taking it very seriously, whereas baseball, is one of the sports where there weren't a lot of players taking knees. There weren't a lot of players speaking out. But now you're starting to see black players, white players, Latin players, all voicing their opinion. It's good to see. We'll see if it actually goes on when the games count. But, they're allowed to take a knee, and it's good to know that they are supporting social injustice and the fight to make everything right.
Yeah, Pat, I think it's significant that it was baseball because during the Kaepernick era, they were non-participants. They were totally out of it, and now they're in.
Well, yeah, during the Kaepernick era, there was a whole bunch of things you were still learning how to navigate as far as public protest and what they were doing and what the choice was. I found it interesting. It wasn't a bigger story based on how, the kneeling for the national anthem had gone earlier, right? It was covered and people talked about it, but it wasn't this groundswell week-changing story, and it makes me wonder, are we now at the point when the NFL season starts, and that inevitably happens again in the NFL, is this something where, all right, this is what happens now when either they get the attention for the causes they want to, or people just choose to ignore it without freaking out like what happened 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, Tariq, is there a risk, Tariq, you think, of that becoming sort of passé, and you're going to have to find something new?
I think it's going to be something where the narrative has changed. The whole narrative of this was sort of a sign of disrespect. And really now it's seen as a sign of, I understand what is your cause. Like later on, I'll get into Tobias Harris and Breonna Taylor. But there are a number of different causes and things that people are into. And this was not seen as the same sort of cause as everyone else's. But now it seems that it is. Now, it took forever for it to happen, but now it's happening. And so now there's a different sort of vibe to it. Whereas it's not seen as disrespectful against the country, it's seen as a symbol of injustice. What is the injustice? What happened? What's more of the story? So we can figure it out.
Pat, I know, with your bias towards Canada, like it or not, the fact that Toronto kicked the Blue Jays out of the country.
Okay, I want to be clear. I've been a Blue Jays fan since I was an itty-bitty kid, so the only thing I like about Canada are the Toronto Blue Jays. It is a little bit funny, right? Like, you have this beautiful stadium, one that survived all of these years. It's like the original movable dome, and they don't have the ability to go. And in reality, the way that stadium's built, Rogers Center's, it has a hotel attached to it. They have all of these things in tunnels. It would have been the perfect bubble spot for a baseball team to set up, and the country of Canada says, no, you're not allowed. But guys, we can be real here, right? Like, as fun as it would have been to see the Blue Jays play at whatever it is, Salem Stadium in Buffalo, at Frontier Field here in Rochester, the difference between a major league ballpark and a minor league ballpark, not only for the players, but the way it would have presented on TV, that would have been the biggest problem, right?
Yeah. I understand why they went to a major league city with major league equipment and major league everything. I get all that. I just feel as if, it would have been nice to have seen the Toronto Blue Jays playing at Frontier Field, like you said, or in Buffalo or in Syracuse. It's just not built for that. It's not built for that type. Even if there's no one in the stands, it's not built for that.
And it really is our fault. We failed to, harness the virus to an extent that the Canada could let us in. So it really isn't their issue. It's ours, I think.
Yeah, and it's their country. Listen, we're in their house. So, they say take off the shoes. But, it would have been nice to have seen the Blue Jays come in and be a part of the town. I would have liked to have seen them play at minor league parks where, there's lower population. You can control the environment a little bit more. But you're right, Duffy, the equipment's not there, the online, and, unless you got really good Wi-Fi service, you're not going to be able to watch those games.
We are the Rochester Press Box. Unfinished Business is next.
And now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. This is the Rochester Press Box, our favorite segment, Unfinished Business. We start with Mr. Duffy.
So the big discussion in the show, as well as this week, is will there be fans at New Era, former New Era Field, when the Bills start the season? And it's not looking good with the governor saying that college football won't have them. So that leads to, what will Bills fans do? The mother of invention is, I forget how the rest of that goes, but what I'm getting at is there's a story coming out of Poland, right? A soccer team not letting fans in the stands. So a bunch of fans rented dozens of cranes, like the ones you see guys working in washing windows. And they put them on property that didn't belong to the stadium, and they lifted them over the wall to the stadium so they could watch their soccer team play. And there was nothing that the soccer team could do. Now, look, I know that's going to be hard to rent a crane and get into the stadium, but what I am a little bit nervous about is what Bills fans are going to will be planning on doing, to make sure they get to watch their team not just on television. I mean, you've seen how ingenious people get when it comes to cooking and serving and being entertaining in that parking lot, tailgating every Sunday in and out all season long. To think that there won't be Bills fans, and in fact, right now, watching this, that have ideas as to how they're going to get near that stadium and be able to watch and be a part of that game, you'd be wrong to assume that won't be happening. The question is, how smart will it be and how safe will it be when it inevitably happens?
Philadelphia 76ers forward Tobias Harris made a statement during his press conference before the 76ers played any game, and his basic statement was why the officers that killed Breonna Taylor have not been arrested. It was addressed to the AG of Kentucky. Now, a couple of weeks ago, if not a month ago, a number of players were like, I don't want to return to the NBA bubble. I think there's a number of different things that are going on with social injustice, and now is not the time to go back. And a lot of people basically said, why don't you use the platform to say how you feel? Well, Tobias Harris did just that. He used his platform to say how he feels about social injustice that's currently going on. There hasn't been an arrest, as of my knowledge, as of yet, but Harris did both. He went back and played, and he used his platform. That was the whole point of what a number of players were making on and off the court. You can still use the NBA platform for what it is, to play basketball and to get the message across about Breonna Taylor to an audience that may have ignored her before or never heard of her.
Jimmy Fallon was on the other night, and he is back in the studio, and he's playing to an audience of his 6 or 7 band members, and Jimmy Fallon wasn't very funny. He's leaving gaps in, where you would ordinarily have laughter, his band members, and some self-serving chuckles. It really didn't cut it. And I like Jimmy Fallon. The thing is, I don't like canned laughter either. Now, the situation comedy Friends existed for 10 years and is immortal in syndication. They use canned laughter. If you're in another room and you don't hear the dialogue, you just hear the laughter and you realize just how fake and annoying it is. But given that conflict, you now have baseball playing to empty stadiums. And the idea about pumping crowd noise into the television broadcast is an issue that's being dealt with by the networks right now. Well, look, it is what it is. And baseball is, right now, a television drama in serious need of some underpinning. So while I don't personally like it, I realize that I'm in the minority, and I say, bring it on. Put the crowd noise in there and serve baseball as best you can, because it worked well enough for Friends. That is our program, Rochester Press Box, and that is Unfinished Business. I got a laugh out of Tariq. I like that. Tariq, thank you very much.
I'm thinking of an idea of a face cutout of Duffy at whatever they're going to name the Bill Stadium with a speaker in it that would allow him to say whatever he feels at the game.
It's a great
You're
idea.
actually laughing at yourself.
No, it's just an idea, but I don't know if Duffy's envisioning it.
Well, look, I mean, Bill, if you need advice, that's a great idea, Tariq. And if you need advice on how to deal with silence after telling jokes, I've got all kinds of tips I can help you out. A lot of experience with that.
Guys, thank you very much. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you again next week with the Rochester Press Box.